Howdy everyone, it's Sam. Welcome back to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. The semi-finals in the BMD Premiership for 2024 is this weekend. First of all, before I get into what I'm really here to talk about, let me touch on the North Devils versus the Burleigh Bears happening this Saturday from 2 p.m. The Devils, in their second ever season, finished second. They're hosting the Burleigh Bears, the champions, out there at Bishop Park. North Devils, they're going to have the likes of Mackenzie Wheel, that's missing. Annetta Claudia Nuasala did not play in last weekend's top of the table encounter against the Mackay Cutters. They are a very impressive team, the North Devils. Of all the teams that I've seen live in person this year, they might be the most well-drilled. It was just a really intense game of footy, so maybe it's recency bias, but gee whiz, North Devils were very impressive. Whereas for the Burleigh Bears, their halves combination, Lauren Brown and Zahara Temera, plus a couple of others as well, they didn't participate last weekend, and they were at half strength. They were truly at half strength, and they got away with a dub against the Brisbane Tigers last weekend to scrape into third position. They are the champions after all. So Norths versus Burleigh, if I had to tip a winner, I would choose the North Devils. Also, Jocelyn Kelleher didn't play last weekend against the Cutters, and the Devils lost by only 4 points and looked pretty good in attack as well, I might say. So there's definitely a hell of a lot of cavalry to come back from the North Devils, and they will not be easy beats if it is the Cutters versus the Devils in the grand final. This Saturday from 4 p.m. out at BB Prince Stadium in Mackay, the Mackay Cutters host the Western Clydesdales. If there were odds about this game, I'd say that the Cutters would be sitting at about that $1.50 mark, the Clydesdales $2.60, but there is so much room for shifting and manoeuvring before kickoff. Team lists, I'm sure, will change. How much? Obviously, I don't know, but I think team lists will change definitely before kickoff this Saturday from 4 p.m. This will be the Western Clydesdales' first ever trip to BB Prince Stadium up there at Mackay. Let's get into the team list now. And for the minor premiers for 2024, at fullback, Crystal Blackwell. The wingers, Libby Sura and Raf Strand-Smith. The centres, Shelley Long and Jasmine Peters. The halves, Shepherd and Tillett. The forward pack, Peacock, Ford and Mara. The back row, Chester, Power and Lillian Yarrow. The interchange, Emily Bella returns after having the week off last weekend. Sarika Muka, 15. S.A. Banu in 16, and Pane Ripapere in jersey number 17, with Madison Hegarty being in jersey number 18. Going into the enemy now, with all due respect, no bias, the Western Clydesdales, this is how they line up. At fullback, Natalia Webb. The wingers, Georgia Sim and Kayla Jackson. The centres, Leanne Tufunga and Sarah Hoger. The halves pairing, Shanae Shizolka and Taylor Fenton. Shizolka named as the captain. The forward pack, Makem, Aiton and Reeves. And the back row, Zella, Cook and Ranke. The interchange, Manselman, Casey Manselman, Bridie Gray, Caitlin Colley and legend Steph Hancock. And in a jersey 18 for the Clydesdales is half Jessica Barnes, who made, I think it was her club debut, if not full-on BMD Premiership debut last weekend in that draw. So while we're still on the subject of team lists, so we'll just say that there are differences in the teams compared to when the last time they fought each other. For Clydesdales, there's only one. Cook is omitted, and Bridie Gray will be the new player to come up against the Cutters defense. And then for the Mackay Cutters themselves, this is where the changes do come into effect. So Kim Hunt did play in that game. I'm not too sure of the reasons why. I think it might be injury, why she hasn't played over the past fortnight or so. But it is Shelley Long that is playing in the centre. Libby Sura is playing out on the wing. Libby Sura had her first game in approximately 7 months, 6 months maybe, against Toowoomba. And Shelley Long did not play in that game. So Shelley Long plays at centre, and she is going to be lining up against Leanne Tufunga. I think that's a pretty cool one-on-one matchup. Especially last weekend, I thought Long had some really tough carries throughout the entire year. She has found a way to break the line at important moments or inject herself when something needs to be done. A momentum stopper has to be made. I think Long has had some really nice moments in 2024, so that's a really cool one-on-one matchup. Shania Power did not play in that game previously. Tiana Raftstrand-Smith did, and that's the game where her season ended. Maybe she could come back for the grand final next week if the Cutters do proceed to the big dance, but Shania Power in for Tiana Raftstrand-Smith. It's not like for like, but it's pretty bloody good. And Lillian Yarrow, I cannot recall if I did it last weekend, but I'm going to do it now. Lillian Yarrow, wow. Since her return approximately 3 weeks ago, she hasn't left the side for very good reason. She's coming back from a big injury, and to make her season debut deep into the season and to do what she is doing, I spoke about bending the line. Her go forward, it has zero care factor for her body. There's zero care factor for her body, both attacking and defensively. Lillian Yarrow has produced some serious go forward, and Pani Ripapere, this is not a blight on her. I think Ripapere has been more critical to us than maybe some people would give her credit for. Ripapere was the starting lock to begin the first half of the year. And then, the season goes a little bit longer and maybe form just starts to just stop a little bit sort of thing. And now for the past 2 weeks, maybe 3, but especially last week, I thought it was pretty evident, pretty clear that Ripapere will come on as the interchange and have a quick 20-minute stint, maybe just to keep some energy going, to keep that ball rolling on through and have some direction out there on the paddock. But Lillian Yarrow's go forward is enormous. And yes, that is how the Western Clydesdales made the finals in their maiden season in the BMD Premiership this year. They got the draw away from home against the South Logan Magpies, who are the second best attacking team in the competition. They had a hell of a lot of momentum, and the Clydesdales, without Keely Davis, Kezzy Apps, Ali Brigginshaw, and I think maybe another cog or two, they were able to snare a draw after, I think maybe a try was scored by the Magpies. What was it? Maybe with 7 minutes to go. And then the Clydesdales hit back inside 3 minutes with only 3 minutes remaining. And then it was just a stalemate until the full-time siren blew. So that's sort of wraps up the Western Clydesdales performances in 2024. They do not go away. They are always in the fight, except for one game, and that was against the Mackay Cutters earlier this year. They hosted the girls from Mackay out there at Toowoomba, was lucky enough to be there, and unfortunately for the Clydesdales, they put in their worst performance of the season, bar none. Their completion rate was below 58% in that contest, and defensively, everybody was all over the shop. Attacking wise, they were shut out almost. But they were very much held at bay by the Mackay Cutters defense of 2024, which is really damn good, probably elite at the end of the season. And the Western Clydesdales, since that loss, 34 points to 6 at home to the eventual minor premiers, their completion rates haven't gone like that. Their completion rates, the Clydesdales, have gone like that. They have sharpened up so much. They have not completed, they have not finished a game where they have not completed at under 69%, I think it is. So they are completing extremely high. The Western Clydesdales, they are competing really well. They got the shakes off with a victory against the Tweed Seagulls a week later. Again, I think that was away from home. They won away from home against the Winnimanley Seagulls in a desperate affair. They then hosted the Norths Devils, and I think they hit the front. Maybe even were up 10-0 thereabouts, but they certainly hit the front and early on, and the Devils had to really dig deep to get a 26 points to 18 victory over Toowoomba. Obviously was the draw last weekend, so they've been on the road a hell of a lot actually over the past month or so at the Western Clydesdales, and they've come out pretty much with a B plus, an A score basically. It's so graphic how much that they buy into that and how good they are at playing that tough country style rugby league. And with that, there are a couple of shout outs, obviously. First of all, I think arguably this centre, one of the two centres, maybe the best centre of the BMD Premiership this year, has been Leanne Tufanga. In that game against South Logan Magpies, boy howdy, she had a couple of seriously huge denting runs as well. I think Tufanga, the stats speak for themselves, but I've seen a few performances from her, and obviously besides the 34-6 loss against Mackay, she's been absolutely sensational for the Western Clydesdales. Also, Tara Renke, I'm pretty sure she has played every single game this year, and she's finished top 5, maybe top 3 in every single game as so far as a player's player sort of perspective, I guess. Tara Renke has had an incredibly tough season. Jessica Reeves and Steph Hancock, while they're not starting together, sometimes they have this year, but them as a front row pairing, especially when they're on the paddock together, they are destructive. Really, really good stuff. And then Georgia Sim has had a couple of, not breakout games just yet. She's yet to really break out, I guess, but Georgia Sim has something in her. She's a diamond in the rough, waiting to come out. And then the second row was Weller and Cook, or Zeller and Cook, I should say. I apologise. Zeller and Cook. They're young second rowers, tough second rowers that look like they can be reliable NRLW standard players one of these days. So you treat them lightly at your own peril. But I do have to make mention of a few stats. Whilst the Western Clydesdales completion rates are very good, they're actually better than Mackay, to be honest with you. They probably sit at about second worst team in the competition for missed tackles. They are probably the second or third worst team in ineffective tackles, and it is that left edge again. I cannot stress that enough. It is their Achilles heel, and that left edge, I'll remind you if you don't know, they're coming up against Jasmine Peters, Ebony Rathjane-Smith, and Bree Chester alongside Tallulah Tillett, with Crystal Blackwell floating out in the background there. That has to be the best right edge offensively, just about the best right edge attacking wise all season long. They are the best right edge in the BMD Premiership this year. Of the 7 tries that were scored, I think maybe 5 of them were scored down the right edge. Kim Hunt on the left did score a try herself, but it was predominantly down that right edge. And it was also Emily Bella that scurried out of dummy half, or just from 5 metres out, that was able to score a try in amongst the rough sort of thing. And Alicia Ford. Alicia Ford has always been that second place, just behind Emma Mandelman. I guess down the pecking order would be Emily Bella because of her youth. But Alicia Ford, mate, since she has taken over for Emma Mandelman over the past month or so, how many tries has she scored? I reckon she's scored bloody 5 tries in the past 4 weeks or so. She's a magnet to the metal that is the friggin' try line, man. Alicia Ford also has a kicking game. She's got that halves experience as well. She may not be as lightning quick smooth. She may not be quick smooth as Emma Manselman sort of thing, but she's dynamic in her own way, man. And she too has been brilliant since she came into the fold. She didn't start the year, but boy howdy, she has taken the bull by the horns this year, to the point where the QRL selectors will look at who should be the hooker of the year. And I think when they look at Alicia Ford's name, I think an eyebrow will be raised about, oof, she's gone pretty bloody solidly herself. The Cutters, they have the best attack, they have the best defence. That doesn't happen if they don't have the best forward pack in the BMD Premiership, full stop. The North Devils might put their hand up and go, oi, Clydesdales will this Saturday, I should say. But it is the Cutters that have the best forward pack in the game. Marco Peters has got them eating nothing but raw meat every single week, as they are the best team in the competition for post-contact meters, with S.A. Banu and Lyric Mara. Please forgive me if I'm not pronouncing Lyric's name correctly. Miss Mara, she made her season debut also against the Clydesdales, like Libby Sura did earlier this year. and she was immediately mind-blowing. Like, she cannot leave this team. If we make finals, she has to be there. She was absolutely enormous in that game. She's been enormous every time she has played. She's catching eyes, man. I've got mates in a Cowboys Cutters group chat, and they've all gone, hey, just quickly about Mara. Hey, Mara, she's really good. Madison Hegarty as well. Unlucky to be selected as 18th player, because I think she was leading the try scorers count about 3 weeks in, and for a front rower, that's sensational going. I thought last weekend against the North Devils, the X factor was this ravenous, mean Sarika Muka that had her best game of the year, arguably. She came onto the paddock and had a missile locked on to every single Devils player. She was insane last weekend. She wanted to hurt human beings left, right, and center. They will take confidence from the way that they played against the Clydesdales earlier this year. They can take confidence out of the way that they played last weekend against the North Devils in a cracking game of footy, a high quality game of footy. And one of the better things about the Cutters that happened to them last weekend was that yes, there were penalties inside the first 20 minutes or so, but I don't think they dropped the ball for the first 15 minutes or thereabouts. They started well enough. They got out, they started pretty good actually, didn't they? They got out to a 10 points nil lead, and then errors started to creep into the game. Fatigue started to creep in, and that's when it got really tight again. So again, if they can minimize errors, and if they can just bring it back a little bit as far as penalties go, hallelujah, it's going to be happy days for the Mackay Cutters. Finally, just before I go, yeah, the origin effect, man. Wouldn't you love to see the BMD Premiership start 2 weeks before, or the State of Origin series start maybe a week later, you know, for any team, not just for the Cutters, but I mean, Kessie Apps, Keely Davis and Ali Brigginshaw are out at the moment, yet Shanae Shizuoka has been named at 5'8" as the captain of the Clydesdales. Like, that's really, really positive stuff, because boy howdy, this is not going to be an easy game. I don't think it will be anything like the 34 points to 6 win. I know that I've just blurted out that the Cutters, besides their errors and penalties, that their defense and attack is number 1, and that the Clydesdales defense is about second last in the competition. But this team, the Clydesdales, they're going to leave some bruises this weekend, man. They are not going to go away lightly. They've been on the road a lot over the past month. They're battle hardened. They've gone up against not the Seagulls. Well, yes, they have. They've gone up against the Seagulls, but they've gone up against Wynnum Manly, the North Devils. Yeah, they've taken on some quality opposition, and South Slogan Magpies in a high quality game as well. So this Clydesdale side, again, it's battle hardened, and that's sort of why I'm really happy about the way Mackay Cutters went about business last weekend. They did go full strength. It was a risk by Marco Peters to go full strength against the North Devils, who were half strength and still gave the Cutters a bit of a scare. But it was a good, tough game of footy to get under the belt. Even if we didn't win that game, it would have been a high quality loss. You don't ever want a loss, but it would have been a high quality loss. But they got the win in the end, and I think that was the right call by Marco Peters. This is going to be a tough game of footy, and without taking away from the girls, I am trying to organise a plane ticket from Brisbane to Mackay to be there this Saturday. So it'd be my first trip to Mackay. Hopefully I can get there for the semi-final. By the way, for those who don't know, you go onto the QRL website, you go into the draw, the grand final next Saturday from approximately 4 o'clock. Maybe it was 2 o'clock, but it's definitely next Saturday, and it's happening at KO Stadium in Redcliffe. Go Cutters. Thank you very much for your support. Hope you enjoyed this video. Only one more video to go. Promise ya, even if the Cutters don't win, and I'm touching wood, that they do win, I will preview that grand final come hell or high water. So thank you very much for the continuous support, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you. Take care. Adios. Go Cutters.